It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. I'm Maddie Margarita here with Diana Pardee on tech. Every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Southern California Writers Association turns our Facebook page over to a new writer to introduce their work and their books. So take a break, grab a cup of coffee, and join us as we welcome Anne Cleeland. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Maddie. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you. I know that people who read historic novels, historical fiction, I guess, are going to love your books. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your series and maybe your standalones? Or
all right, yeah, I write two different series, and today I think I'm going to talk about the mystery series. I write a contemporary Scotland Yard British detective series, and it features two detectives, Detective Sergeant Kathleen Doyle, who is the narrator for the story, and Chief Inspector Acton. And it's not a spoiler to tell you that she marries Acton in the first book, so I'll tell you that they're married to each other. And the Acton character is a kind of a famous, well-respected chief inspector. He's reclusive, he's brilliant, he's solved a lot of murders, and the public loves him. And he also has a title that dates back to the conquest. So Doyle is married to Acton, and she starts to realize that the reason he solves so many murders is because he manipulates the evidence, and he is not opposed to killing the occasional people who needs killing. And so she is understandably aghast by this, but she loves him, and so she's trying to save him from himself. And much of the story is the reader and Doyle both trying to figure out what Acton is up to. Now, the reason an American author is writing British detective is because I always loved the aristocrat as sleuth, like Lord Peter and Lord Linley, Elizabeth George's Lord Linley, and Inspector Allen was also aristocratic. I like that idea, but I switched it a little bit in this series because Acton is kind of a dark character. He's a vigilante. And the reason he gets away with what he gets away with is because no one would ever think that Chief Inspector Acton is manipulating the evidence or killing the occasional person who needs killing. So that's kind of the basic framework for the story. And as I said, it's narrated by Doyle, and she's young and she's kind of naive. She's kind of a twist on the usual female detective also, in that she's in way over her head, and but she feels she has to be strong because she is his weakness, and she doesn't want him to destroy himself. She has to try to save him from himself. So she's a very interesting character to write on a couple different levels. So the 13th book is coming out soon in this series. And the last book was called Murder and Revelation, and I hold it up, but I think is the title backwards. I always get mixed up about how to do this, but Murder and Revelation, and the title is always the motivation for a murder. And for example, a murder and revelation is where the killer wants to reveal a secret. The killer is tired of having nobody know something, and so somebody is murdered in order to reveal a secret. So that's what Murder and Revelation, which was the last book. And the next book is going to be called Murder in Unsound Mind. Ooh. As you can see.
Can you hold it up a little bit?
Oh, there we go.
Over. There we go.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's hard. This is Zoom has its limitations.
I know. And also, okay. Maddie taught me how to do Zoom, so I'm a rookie. But Murder in Unsound Mind, and as this one's pretty self-explanatory. The killer has got a screw loose, right? And as you can see, it's set at Christmas, so it's kind of a Christmas creepy murder story. But one of the victim is a minor character from an earlier story, and a lot of people who are familiar with my series know that that I like to do that. I like to take a minor secondary character and pull them up into the current story in some major way. So that's what's happened. And I really really can't say too much more without it being a complete spoiler. And oh, and I also wanted to give a shout out to Eileen Carey, Carey, is my cover artist, and she always does a fabulous job. So I just wanted to mention her because she kind of straightens me up and packages it up so that it looks good. But I hope you enjoy it. This is the 13th book in this series.
That's amazing, and congratulations on that. So um, it's interesting that you chose to have them marry so early in the series. So now you have to write relationship and make it feel legitimate and genuine and authentic. How do
Right.
you do that?
Well, and part of the problem, of course, it's it's the moonlighting problem where you can't join them up and then suddenly there's no interesting romantic things going on. But with their situation, they are very attuned to each other, and we have this continuing tension where she's trying to save him from himself. So that's kind of how I keep it going. It's I know it is interesting that they were married right away, but it was kind of I love having big twists in the story. And like I said, as those of you who are familiar with the books know, there's always a big twist. And so that was the big twist in the first book, is that, she's very shy and he's famous and reclusive, and suddenly he proposes marriage and she feels like she can't really politely turn him down, and she immediately marries him. And so and then kind of part of the reason that they are married to each other is because of this tension, because he can't be too creepy, right? But because she has to love him, but she has to be, she's in it. She can't try to get away from him or break up with them because she's married to him. So that's part of the kind of the glue that holds it all together.
But you were saying she's a contradiction because she is a young and she is a little naive, and it's set in Scotland Yard. And I know that you've probably had to learn a lot of procedural stuff about Scotland Yard, but she's also prescient beyond your normal expectation. Do you want to touch on that
Right.
a little bit?
Well, I'll talk about that too, because it's always hard for me to know how much to tell you about the story, because the story is very complicated. And so I don't want to make it sound too complicated, but she is Irish, and she's what they call Fae in Ireland, which is she's very perceptive. She has a perceptive ability that helps her to kind of tune into people's emotions, especially people in her immediate area. And she can usually tell when someone's lying. So she's not very smart, and she's kind of a Bridget Jones character, where she's not really smart, but she means well. But she has this huge advantage because homicide investigations are full of people who lie. So she does really well because she knows who's lying and who's not lying, but nobody else knows that's what's going on. So she's an interesting character to write because there are two levels to every conversation. There's whatever is being spoken to her, but there's also a level where she knows what's a lie and what's not a lie. So that it makes it, like I said, makes it very interesting, makes it lots of fun, especially when she's interviewing witnesses.
So I'm sure a lot of readers are love England and everything British. So do you have to translate your writing into to British?
Oh yes, it's interesting because it's basically almost done word by word, because I think that most, I'm writing for an American audience, basically. My main, they sell all over the world, but my main audience is English speaking, Canada, America, and England. And I have to choose, I think Americans know that a lift is an elevator, but Americans don't know that a truncheon is a nightstick. See what I mean? So I have to decide. And it's kind of funny because I just got an email this week where Doyle is talking to an Australian soldier, and she's a redhead, and he keeps calling her Red. And the Australian reader wrote me and said, Australians don't call redheads red, they call them blue. So instead of saying, hey, Red, they say, hey, blue. And I'm all, well, I couldn't really do that because 99.9% of my readers would have no idea what I was talking about. But that's the kind of thing, I'm writing for an American audience, and I have to kind of, take it step by step and not use the words that are too confusing for my audience.
Well, I think that that's interesting too, that you have a relationship with your readers where people are, and I know we've talked about this before, where you have, you actually touch base with your readers and you listen to what they say and you take what they say into consideration when you're writing.
Right.
And I think that's unusual. So, but how much of that do you do?
I do it quite a lot, and I know that we were just talking. I can't remember the other author who kind of crowdsources the ideas and says, "What does everybody want to see? What does everybody want to see about this character?" And I'm much more writing. I know this is a cliche, but I'm kind of writing for myself. But I like to see what everyone is saying in the reviews and in the comments because it does help me figure out which way to go with things. And like there's a bad guy in my series whose name is Philippe Savoy, and he was going to get killed right away, and everybody liked Philippe Savoy. So now Philippe Savoy is still there, so it's that does influence me. And I think that's part of just the modern world, is that now we can talk directly to the readers can talk directly to me. There's a contact on my website. I get a lot of emails from people telling me that it should be blue and not red, and and that type of thing. So it's lots of fun, and I love talking to you. So if you have anything to say, make sure to write me and let me know.
Well, everybody who's listening, make sure to put your questions in the comments,
Oh,
section.
that's right.
Right.
That's right. I'll be happy to answer any questions. But I can't give any spoilers. Like I want to tell you what the plot to Murder in Unsound Mind is, but I can't even start because it would be a giant spoiler. So
okay, well, we wouldn't want you to do that. Yes, we would. Oh, but so you've written 13 books, right?
Right, 13 in this series.
13
and then I've written 6 or 7, I can't remember, of the historicals. Because and those of you may have already heard this story, a lot of you, is that I started out wanting to write Regency historical romance. And that's what I really want to write. And I still write about 1 a year, but they don't sell anywhere near as well as the mystery. So it just goes to show you, all you new writers, you just never know. You never know where it's going to lead you. So
right.
I'm knee deep in this British detective series of all things, when I really just wanted to write Regency romance.
It's a mystery, Anne. So
Yeah.
just to finish up and in conclusion,
Yes.
So when somebody picks up a book written by Anne Cleeland, what can they expect?
They can expect a couple. I always write romance. That to me, that's the original suspense plot. There's always a couple. There's always humor. There's always themes in the mystery series. A lot of the theme, because acting as a vigilante, a lot of the theme is the nature of justice. What's the nature of justice? What's the nature of love? That type of thing. There's always an unusual wedding in every one of my books, and every one of the historicals are all standalones. So they're all a complete story in and of themselves, and there's always an unusual wedding. So that's kind of fun.
Well, we'll look for that. And if people are interested in buying your books, where can they find them?
I publish through Amazon, but as you probably know nowadays, if you go to Walmart or if you go to Target online, they'll have my books too. Everybody kind of shares with each other, but I put them up at Amazon. They're in paperback, Kindle, and audio. I'm still working on the audios. Murder and Just Cause has just come out in audio, but I'm catching up with the audios. But I sell mainly through Amazon, and if you go to my website, there's a buy link to every book. So it's easy. Just my website is my name, ANNECLEELAND.com, and that's an easy way just to see. And you can look at excerpts and you can see what you think about the stories.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Anne. Good luck in the future. Good luck in your next book. Hopefully you'll come back and talk to us again.
Thank you. Thanks for explaining Zoom to me.
Okay, anytime. All right, thank you very much. And if you enjoyed today's Bookshot, please like and subscribe and share. And we will be back next week, next Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. with a new author. Until then, stay safe and we'll see you soon.